Hi there, my name's Johnny and I wrote a bit of software called AxeBench. AxeBench comes with two other applications, sister applications, which are called AxeShed and AxePool, and they all kind of work together to help make your BitAxe or NerdQAxe experience much more pleasurable. So I'm going to run through the apps, run through what they do, how you can fiddle and fettle with them, and try and convince you why they're a very, 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 very good idea. What AxeBench is a benchmarking tool primarily for the BitAxe systems and NerdQAxes. It'll work on all the BitAxe solutions such as the Hex, the Supra, the Max, the Gamma and so on. It also works with the NerdQAxe Plus and the Plus. It also works with anything else that will run on the Axe OS as well. So this is the page. At the top we've got a login, log out for Patreon. I am giving away a bunch of licenses, so if you do fancy a shot at this, then just get in contact and see what I can do. Otherwise, the license costs are very cheap for now. They will be falling down to practically zero over time. I just got to recoup some of the costs that I've had in terms of buying some of the hardware to actually research this properly and get a proper tuning tool, not just stabbing and guessing and poking at something. Anyway, the AxeBench tool is the benchmarking tool, so this takes care of benchmarking your device and creating a whole bunch of different profiles. It doesn't just tune it to the max, where it's going to sit all day. It will actually generate intelligent profiles between quiet, efficient, nuclear, and all this kind of thing as well. So I will show you that. In this splash screen, we have also AxeShed. AxeShed up here on the top right is a scheduler, and it will schedule the profile changes. So if you don't want your box absolutely smashing it away whilst you're sleeping next to it at night, you can schedule a quiet profile at night time. You can specify any schedule at any time, and it will just change those benchmark schedules for you. Again, that's the performance schedules. You also have the AxePool as well, which is another app, and that is a pool scheduler and controller. It controls all of the pools on your device. You can switch between hundreds of different pools if you wanted to throughout the day on an automated schedule. You can switch in between main and fallback. You can also pull pools off of your device, and you can store all of your pool credentials in there as well. So it means that you don't have to write everything down and copy and paste and mess around with all that. Literally just hit that profile, smash, in it goes, device reboots, and you're running on that pool. So I'm going to run you through how to add in a device and where everything is and how it all works. Now at the top here we have devices, benchmark, live monitor, profiles and sessions, which we'll go through one by one. Next line we have the fleet awareness, so this is how many devices you've got online, the total hash rate, the average efficiency, and the hottest that a device is. My average efficiency is not great at the moment. On this, usually it's around 15.2, 15.5, but it's still respectable. But this is on one of the nuclear tunes. As you can see, it's running there at 65, and the fan's probably blasting its bits off. But it's happy, it's comfortable, it's stable, and it's pulling some really good hash rate. This is a stock device as well, by the way. This is a stock Gamma 601 running at 1.5 terahash at the moment. So to add a new device in, we'll have a look at the device fleet down here. We can see that we've got the hash rate, the ASIC temperature, the amount of watts that it's pulling, and the error rate. Now 1.5 terahash at 0% error rate. Fan is 99%. It's 750 megahertz on the core and 1.22 volts, so 1220 millivolts. We've got the option here of clicking on here. On the cog, that gives us remove device, restart device, or cancel. So you can remove devices using that, or we can click on benchmark, which we will do shortly. Benchmark effectively takes you off to the benchmarking section, which we will cover off. But for now, we will just we'll navigate through the tabs to get to those. At the bottom, you've got export fleet status. It exports, as you can see up there, a fleet status in a JSON format, so you can actually back up your entire fleet in case you want to do such a very wise thing as such. Right, to add a device in, I'm going to have to move me out of the way. I'm going to put me there. Right, I'm going to add in the same device again. I'm going to put in the IP address. I'm going to hit detect. The detection talks to the API, pulls out the model name and the model type. It pulls out the current terahash, and it pulls out the current temperature. I'm going to give it a name. test thing, and I'm going to add it. And in case I didn't have the profile loaded automatically, you can select from here. I'm going to put myself back over here again. So you can select between Gamma, Super, Ultra, Hex, Max, then there's NerdQAxe as we spoke about, or other unknown for anything else that's running on the Axe OS. For now, I'm going to leave the auto detect, that's fine. Add that device in and move me out the way again and hit refresh. So now we've got 2 nodes running. We can see 2 nodes online, total hash rate, average efficiency, that's of both pools, and again the hottest, and it will give you which is the hottest. Here it's saying Gamma 601. In reality, these are actually the same device, same IP, but obviously it's just to give you an understanding of how it would look if you were to add multiple devices in. Right, next tab is the benchmarking tab. That's where all the fun happens. You can go ahead and select your device in here. We can see testing has appeared. We'll select Gamma 601. It knows what it is, so it knows the safe and stock values, and these are for reference. There are tuning presets, which is baseline, which is pretty chunky and quick. There's tuned, which is quite a nice smooth slope, and then there's precision, which is smaller increments. So as an example, we'll go ahead and run a tuned setting. You could set all of these settings below and save your profile. So you could actually say save current as blob bench and save it, and it's loaded, and saying it's loaded, but it's obviously saved blob bench, and then we can load that at any point or delete it. Now in here you could set all of the settings, so start at 1100, end at 1200, fine. Voltage steps, we can take them down to, let's say, 15. Again, we're moving away from the tuned profile when we alter these, but it means that they are configurable, obviously. Frequency start 500, might say 550 on that. Frequency 650, well, I know this is a beast, for example, and let's put it up to 750 or 800 or whatever. Bear in mind, when you're overclocking, you can burn out PSUs, and that is a very important fact. You can burn chips out, you can do all sorts of damage. Frequency step in megahertz, again, you can select that. Well, I might have that set at 20. The sampling duration, this is pretty cool. So that's 120 seconds. What it will do is it will create samples over that period in segments. So the longer you have in a sampling duration, the more samples it will automatically collect for you. There's no separate value for that. It's giving even spacing to make sure we're collecting a good amount of random samples. 60 is minimum for reliable. Honestly, 120 is good, 200 is better. The higher you go, the longer it's going to take, but the better results you'll see. Stabilization time in seconds, that's how long it waits before taking on the sampling after changing some settings. Now that can be changed to, let's say, 5 seconds. It makes no real difference there. We're doing a very quick flip in between that anyway. The cooldown between tests is 5 seconds default. Repeat each setting once. You can, if you're really weird, want to repeat that twice, 3 times, 10 times. It'll take ages, but it'll go through every single scan that it does, every test that it does, that amount of times. It's a count factor. Something really cool is the target error rate. I tend to aim for about 0.2. 0.25 is perfectly sufficient, and I'll tell you why. 0.25 at the moment is, of course, the target error rate that we're seeing from the ASIC directly reported, but we're also calculating on the algorithm that works in the background is also calculating the effective hash against the potential hash, the calculated hash. It's working out a difference in variance there, as well as looking at the error rate coming directly off the ASIC. So it does a calculation between them both. Now the reason why I say it doesn't matter too much, and that's a good value, 0.25. I'm quite happy if I'm running under 0.2. 0.1's lovely. If you wanted to refine this even further, you don't have to actually step these down so much. You can keep these around 25 because there is a nano tuning step that you can take on board after the main tuning, which is effectively a really small window with really fine granularity in the tuning. But I'll come to that. We've also got the optimization goal, whether you want it balanced, max hash rate or max efficiency. Balance is always a good start. Max ASIC temperature, I really don't go above 65, I think it's absolutely fine. Max power, this is where if you do have a stock PSU, I'd recommend 20. I know it says 22 there, but really stick with 20. I've got a 50 watt supply on mine. I know I can go to probably nearly 40 watts on that safely, so I'll put in 35. Max temp on my voltage reg, I keep it below 80. Fan target, I like 60. I like a cool box. There is an auto recovery mode, so if it goes into temp default or some kind of hash rate error status, then it will actually retry that combo an amount of times before cooling down as well. So this is up to you. If you've got something you tuned before, smash it to 1. If you're uncertain, you really want to push the limits, smash it to 2, and it will try that combo that amount of times. Now the gamma, I don't need to restart between tests, so I've made this checkbox, and the checkbox, if you tick it, will restart your device in between tests. If you're going to do that, make sure you have your stabilization time set appropriately to handle your reboot. You can enable plots and export CSV, that exports the data that we can process later. Then of course there's all the red warnings. Out of safe range, 750 exceeds the max safe 700. Power limit 35 exceeds stock PSU safe capacity of 20 watts. PSU warning, blah 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 blah. Accept the risks and you can start the benchmark. And what that will do, it will collapse the settings, which are in here, and it will start doing stuff. Now straight away, I know that this is never going to hit 550 megahertz at 1100 millivolts. Just wasn't going to happen. But it's good to see that it's picking up that it's unstable. So immediately it said, nope, this is unstable. And mostly because I'd say during this as well, it's looked at temperature, skipping below 94% of threshold. So what's it going to do? It's going to pull some more samples, and it's bumping up the voltage to deal with the below 94 threshold instability, and it's going to start its sampling from there. So nice and safe, and it's trying to look after your hardware as best it can. Up here you've got gigahashes and gigahash a second, the watts it's consuming, the ASIC temp, fan speed, the error rate, and the joules per terahash, as well as the voltage regulated temperature there. You can clear the log if you wish, or you can collapse it. Right, with that running, we can look at the live monitor. The live monitor, you can select which device you want to have a little look at. So if we select the Gamma 601, it's going to show you my hash rate, temperature of the ASIC, the fan speed, ASIC error rate, voltage reg temp, core speed, voltage, power, and a bunch of pretty graphs that update every 2 seconds. This is power and voltage, so power and watts and the voltage. This is temperature and VR temp, so your ASIC and your voltage reg, and this is your hash rate. Okay, onto profiles. So what you can do, in fact, before I go to profiles, I'm going to go into sessions. I did a test here with 20 tests just earlier. I'm going to go into my profiles. I'm going to remove all of my profiles that were done from a test earlier. So I'm just going to delete these one by one. Like so. Now I could choose to create a new profile here and stick in all the parameters. So if you know what you're doing, you've got a favorite profile, you can smash it in there along with a whole bunch of other benchmark results from previous tests, so you can actually see how your box is doing on this compared to something else. You can also save the current as well, so you can save the current preset that's loaded in the box. So it's saved a custom preset, it's just pulled that directly from the BitAxe and smashed it in there because that's what I'm running. So then I can give it a custom name and run along with that. We'll get rid of that for now. Okay. There's testing, no profiles, that's fine. Let's go into sessions. Now here's the session with 20 tests on it. If we click on it, we can see all of the JSON data, which is the entire test data from that particular run. It has completed, which is good, it has not errored. And we have a profiles button and a delete button. So if I hit the profiles button, it's going to go ahead and create some profiles for me. A quiet, efficient, max, and nuclear. Now these are baseline profiles that it creates. So saying that profiles already exist for this device, because we did have profiles loaded. If we click on that, it's going to create those baseline profiles for us. Now, although that's pretty cool, what's even more cool is if we go into, we can apply directly, or edit or delete. We have a button called Nano. And what Nano does if you click on it is it brings up 4 separate blocks. So if you're aiming for maximum hash rate, balanced, power efficiency, or quiet mode, it's going to go ahead and do the Nano tune optimization. And it will show you what it's going to step. So For my target fan speed, I know it gets noisy at about 60, so I really want that fan around kind of 56 because it gets really noisy further up. So I can set that to 56, and then it's going to use the base settings, 1140 millivolt, 625 megahertz, and it's going to run a target fan less than 40% to begin with, and it's going to test the lower VF combinations to reduce heat. So it's all about quietness, keeping the fan quiet and doing it that way. Power efficiency, it's going to again take the baseline settings and put the voltage in between 1110 and 1140 because we started at a 1140, so it's going to go down for power efficiency from that step in 5 millivolt steps, and the frequency it's going to look at is 595. Good error up there, look, we'll come to that in a sec. That's a warning about the tuning. So 595 to 625. So we're kind of going down from where we are because we're looking for power efficiency. For balanced, it takes a good average, and we're working in 2 megahertz steps and 2 millivolt steps. And for maximum hash rate, we're actually going from 1140, which is our baseline, up to 1170. So we're bumping it up, but in 5 millivolt steps and 5 megahertz steps. So it does all of that automatically. So if I was to put it on that, for example, and I can choose to auto-save the best result to the profile when complete. So it'll actually come back and save the result to the profile. Of course, we've already got benchmark running, so it gives us the warning. So again, it's pretty foolproof. If we look at that error from earlier, we can just see there's 1168.9 gigahertz, okay, but error 0.29% needs to be less than 0.25%, and that is the error coming from the error rate value from the ASIC. So it's backing off and it's bumping the voltage. It's doing everything for us. Okay, so that's the sessions, profiles, live monitor, benchmark and devices. If we have a look in AxeShed, this is effectively somewhere where you can keep all of your bits. Not in English. Not only is it somewhere like a shed that you keep all of your BitAxes, but it's also a shed because it's a scheduler. So we've got a bunch of profiles that we created on this Gamma 601 and some basic information. We can turn the schedule on and off independently on each of these devices if there is a schedule, like so. And then we can edit that schedule to say, I want you quiet between 10 and 6 in the morning. Don't want it on nuclear, I want it on quiet. And I'm going to add a time block in from, say, 7, and you'll see why I'm putting in 7, until maybe 8. So 7 in the morning till 8 at night on nuclear. No, not, you wouldn't run that on nuclear. Max, for example. And what's cool is the default profile, when there's no schedule that matches, we can have it on a different setting. So we can have it on efficient. So quiet from 10 till 6, then it will drop onto efficient, and then from 6 to 7 it's on efficient, then it's on max from 7 till 8. You literally save that, and you can enable the schedule in that tab as well, or enable it here. Then up in the top right, up here, you have a scheduler stopped. You can just start that scheduler. Now I'm not going to start that right now because if I do, my box is going to reboot because I'm doing some benchmarking on it, so I'm leaving that alone. But you get the idea. Last up is AxePool, and in my mind I think this is just awesome. This solves quite a few problems for me and hopefully for a bunch of you guys as well. It's effectively a pool library and a scheduler all in one. You can schedule per device. Let's start from the top. We can add a pool. So we can add a custom pool in, enter in your details and your password and click save, and you end up with something like one of these two. You can also import a preset. There are a couple of presets in there. Let me know if you want me to add anything in those presets. Probably put in Parasite, for example. You can edit the ones that you have, like so, or you can delete them. Now what's really cool as well is on these devices you have a main pool and your fallback. You can swap those by one press of that button. It puts fallback in the main in the fallback, and reboots the device. You can also import. If you hit import, you'll end up with the two imported profiles that are originally on that device. You just name them to whatever you like, and you can save them, and then you've got them for reference. Then you can apply the pool just like you can in the BitAxe OS, main or fallback. And you can also apply it here by buttons, BCH solo, BTC solo, or you can schedule it. So mine is running BTC on my solo node on my Proxmox server between 6 AM and 2300. And then from 2300 to 0600 it's mining Bitcoin solo. And again, you can have a default pool for it to go to. If you had another pool up here, when there was no schedule that matches, it will drop onto that other pool. So, and it's not just two you can add in. You can add in as many as you like and flip and change pools to your delight. That is the idea behind this. Once it's done, again, you just hit save. Schedule is saved, and then you can enable it there. And again, up top right, you've got the scheduler is currently stopped, but you can enable it. So that's a real quick overview. Let's go back into AxeShed, AxeBench, and have a quick look down at the. In fact, let's go back to the benchmarking. We'll see how that's getting on. So still benchmarking, we're still nudging up in the values, and it's doing all these error calculations and corrections as we go. Now, the algorithm this uses took a long time to put together, because it isn't just as simple as saying, look at your target hash, look at the actual hash, work out the difference, yay or nay. It's doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And actually, in some of the options that you have for benchmarking, depending on whether you're going balanced, max hash rate or efficiency, it changes how it approaches the tuning and the overclocking. So it gives you ultimate flexibility, and you will see different results based around balance, hash rate or efficiency. It looks at different metrics within the API to understand what it really wants to try and achieve. So for efficiency, it's obviously going to look for a really low joules per terahash, but also you want to have a good rate at the same time as well. So it takes all these things into consideration. Anyway, that's that. You can literally download the app and click on login up here. It will take you to the Patreon. You can log in, or you can just give us a nudge for a license. Like I say, as much as I'd love to have this open source right now, I just simply can't afford to, because I've spent too much on it. Far too much. The price will come down. It's not horrific anyway. It's like £1. It's £1. Or if you want the functionality of the schedulers, it's £2. So it's literally there for donuts and coffee. Anyway, any questions, just feel free to reach out to me and ask away. And happy mining. Good luck. Stay safe. Don't blow anything up. Try not to melt anything. And automate the absolute bits out of your BitAxe. Get on it. You know it's the right thing. Ta-da.